323-577-5562. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. From traditional funeral services to memorials to direct cremation, pre-needs, and more. Call Charlotte White at Exquisite Family Mortuary for Southern hospitality in Southern California. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. Exquisite Family Mortuary is located nearby in Inglewood, California. Exquisite Family Mortuary, where your loved one becomes our loved one.
Never would have made it. Never could have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see how you were there for me, and I can say, never would have made it. Never could have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see how you were there for me, and I can say I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm better, much better. When I look back over all you brought me through, I can see that you were the one I held on to, and I never.
Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. Little gospel to start us off. Although Andy wanted me to remind you all that it is April Fool's Day. Welcome in. It's Tuesday, but we're moving a little bit like it's almost the weekend. I'm Jill Munroe, and this is your entertainment news update on KBLA Talk 1580, where pop culture meets perspective, and we break down the stories that you couldn't quite keep up with. So tonight, we're talking about offerings that went viral, adoption stories that feel like movie plots, and the Zeus Network is out here moving like, Death Row Records in the 90s with a TikTok budget. We're going to get into all of that. Marvin Sapp is setting the record straight. Tanner Adell just dropped some deep truths about her adoption. And yeah, the Zeus Network, which, no shade, no tea. I understand everybody likes escapism. You like what you like. But the programming on Zeus Network is interesting, to say the least. And by interesting, I mean, I don't understand some of it. I really don't. Is the purpose just a fight?
It's no different than what we see on MTV and VH1.
I think it's a little different.
And BET.
I'm going to tell you why I think it's different, right?
Speak on it.
So with baddies, right? Baddie shot o'clock. There's no purpose to that show. They get together and supposedly it is to get some bad broads together to link up, go party, and promote stuff. But all they do is fight and try and snatch wigs and weaves and box. And fighting for ridiculous reasons. There's no resolution. There's no self-actualization. Let me slow down. When you look at it, people go through things. They got to learn to manage their temper, get along with others. But where are we going with this? Every season, every new city or area, it's just new girls. I'm the baddest. We going to box. We going to go out. We going to throw up. And then we going to come back. We going to box some more. I just, listen. If you like it, I love it. I'm just saying. All right, well, look, before we get into all of the stories for the night, got a little conversation starters, a couple of things that, they've been burning up your feeds. So Raven-Symoné has an interview coming out with Jason Lee of Hollywood Unlocked. And in it, she is revealing a lot of truths. One of the things that she addressed was her infamous 2014 Oprah Winfrey interview where she said that she didn't identify as African American. And people gave her heck for that. They were on her. But she says that she was misunderstood, and she broke down why she said what she said. She's not backing off on it. She's not, claiming that you misheard her. She's just saying that you misunderstood her point in all of this. She talked about the fact that as Africans brought here many centuries ago, we have earned the right through our generations of living here to just be called American. She was like, I'm Black, I'm American. All the work that our family put in, our families have put in our blood, sweat, and tears in building up this country. African American, she feels it should be reserved for new immigrants, right? Or things of that nature. Maybe your first or second generation to this country. And I feel her on that point. We have contributed a great deal to this country in many ways. And so I understand why we separate ourselves. But at the same time, I don't know. That happened in like the late 1980s when they started moving from Black to African American. I never left. I always felt like Black was just it. It's a culture, it's a thing, but address it how you wish. Shout out to Raven. And Viola Davis, she's getting real about judging things before you have the full story. She shared how she was judging Chadwick Boseman on the set of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, that he had assistants and helpers and all of this stuff going on. And she said she was looking at him like, why does he need all of this? And we know later that he was suffering from cancer and passed away. So, just a reminder to not be so quick to pass judgment on things. Sometimes, unless the Zeus Network fights. Just kidding. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Before the fire, Altadena was a real-life Wakanda. A thriving Black oasis just 15 miles from downtown Los Angeles. 80% Black residents were homeowners, building intergenerational wealth against the odds. It was a hub of Black-owned businesses, churches, and cultural institutions. It stood as a symbol of Black resilience and economic independence. Then, in a matter of hours, it was gone. The fire tore through homes, swallowed businesses, and left behind a painful void. But was it just an unstoppable act of nature, or was negligence involved? Did officials ignore early warning signs? Were the response efforts delayed or insufficient? What role, if any, did corporate or government failures play? Survivors are demanding answers. Don't miss our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall. The Eden Altadena Fire, 100 days and counting. On Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center, 1081 North Fair Oaks in Pasadena. Join Dominic DePrima, Nee Cordelai Corte, James Farr, Tavis Smiley, and a panel of survivors, community leaders, and experts as we commemorate Day 100 since the wildfires flared up. And we discuss where we go from here. It's KBLA's Eden Altadena Fire, 100 days and counting Town Hall. Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center in Pasadena. Light refreshments to follow. Admission is free, but sign-up is required at our KBLA1580.com website. This is a community call to action brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
Good morning, Doctor.
Doctor?
Hi, Doctor.
Doctor?
Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. So, you know how this all goes down. Before we get into these trending topics and headlines, if at any point you want to jump in the conversation, 800-920-1580. Of course, hit us up on social media. We are at KBLA 1580. Me personally, I'm at Stiletto Jill. And it's Tuesday, so we would like to welcome back into the building Nick Hamilton of Nightcast Media. Welcome in, Nick. How are you?
Hey, man, out here hanging like shingles and drywall. What's going on?
I see you've been busy out in these Hollywood streets and these sports streets getting it done.
Hey, man, somebody got to pay the rent.
I mean, I'm saying, bills won't pay themselves, correct?
Church on the move. You do know that.
So before we get into this Marvin Sapp story, speaking of bills and making money, guess what we're getting from Cardi B before we get an album? Seems like Cardi might be taking a little page out of, Beyonce and Rihanna's book. She is coming for the lifestyle space with her new joint venture with Revolve. Think fashion, beauty, nails, hair, the whole Cardi aesthetic. And she's coming for your bathroom counter and your closet. And we'll see if she can, capture some of the attention that others have in this same space. Revolve bought in about $293 million in Q4, and now they're looking to build a multi-million-dollar brand beauty empire with Cardi B. And Cardi said they're not doing this for day one. They're planning for day 5,000. So she's serious, doubling down. We know Cardi is a fashion girl. She does a lot with her hair, nails, the whole thing. So I think it's a smart move, but do you think that Cardi is ever going to release another album?
Nope.
No, you think that's it?
First of all, let me say congratulations to her. Time will reveal how successful she will be in that space. But no, there's no demand for her. That's why she hasn't put out any music. There's really been no demand. There's really been no banging down your doors that I have seen to be like, oh my God, we gotta have this or else. And then she got to find some new ghostwriters. So,
the same ones are still out there. They can make it hit again. Invasion of Privacy dropped 2018, I believe it was. So, that's 7 years for your first album. I am all for artists taking a break in between. I think that in this new era, sometimes we put out music a little too quickly. But,
it's one thing to take a break. When Dr. Dre and Snoop dropped Missionary, we ain't heard from them in, I don't know, Lord knows how long. So if they can drop an album, Lord knows that Cardi can drop one if she had.
She can always come back here. There's been there's a lot of females in hip hop that have come in and filled the void that was once there. So, we can wait.
Better.
Which do we think will drop first, Rihanna or Cardi?
Rihanna. There's a demand for it.
There's been a demand for it, and Rihanna's at what, like 9-10 years now?
Well, it's all talent for a reason.
We'll see. All right, let's get into this Marvin Sapp story. So, Marvin Sapp has found himself trending for the wrong reasons. How often do we trend for the right reasons, though? We do sometimes. So there was a clip that was from a few years back where he was asking for offerings at a service that went viral. He said he was going to shut the doors until he collected $40,000. And, people were heated. They were claiming that the demanding of the money was being pushy and, inappropriate to come down from the pulpit. But Marvin says that the full video tells a completely different story. He was on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, and he sort of explained himself. So let's hear what he had to say.
People took issue with me saying, shut the doors. Understand, I never said lock the doors. Yeah. I said shut the doors. Shutting doors mean that people still have the ability to go in and out. They've taken issue with my tone. And I can honestly say, looking at the video, maybe I was a little more assertive than I should have been. And I can apologize for that. I can apologize for that. But three things I need to make sure that people understood. Number one, the $40,000, if it was $40,000 that was raised, was never given to me. that money was raised for the purpose of taking care of the budget for their conference, not Marvin Sapp. Number two, the reason why I'm here is because what has happened is people have taken clickbait and made something out of it that it isn't. And because of that, my church has been getting phone calls. People have called my church and cussed me out. My staff are afraid because I've received death threats over $20 and shut the door. People have come to our campus. They have come to my church to try to cause problems, vitriol, and the anger that people have shown, the things that they've said in my thread and stuff, and all of this is because of a misunderstanding. And I'm not blaming people. Let me be clear. I'm not blaming anybody because of their misunderstanding. I'm just saying, in all you're getting, get an understanding. And if I'm sharing with you that the $40,000 that I was trying to raise, and again, I don't know if the organization got 40, 10, 20, any of it. I don't know. I'm hoping that I actually raised more money so that I can help the organization that has been such a great support to me. These people,
and again, let's be clear, not a dime of that money.
Not a dime of that money came to me. Not a dime of it.
So, Nick Hamilton, what are your thoughts on Marvin's said apology and approach?
Never would have paid it. Let me say this, and give me a little bit of room if you may. First of all, I watched the video, and I was pretty much reading about the story. I saw in the video where Marvin Sapp told his preachers and pastors to put away their $20, but made the people in the congregation pay the $20, and then it had the people in the back break bread for $100. Now, all that, I mean, tell me you're a hustler without telling me you're a hustler. If you don't know, and you can't tell me you don't know if the money was raised or not. Come on, dude. Like, you think everybody dumb but you. Like, this is what these spiritual pimps and these hustlers do. Like, if you a hustler, tell me you a hustler, and I can respect that. If you want people to give, you should have said, hey, whatever you're led to give at this moment, whatever the amount is, we appreciate it. And whatever God puts on your heart to give, or however the Spirit may move or whatever, that's what you give, right? If it's $20, great. If it's $5, great. If it's $2, great. If it's $100, great. But to me, it just seems like it's too many holes in the story, and we're not getting all of the information that is necessary. And you wonder why. Now, let me speak this clearly. I don't condone people giving him death threats and all of that stuff, because that's over the top and that's unnecessary. If you don't agree with something, that's one thing, but to threaten someone's life or someone's livelihood or their family or his employees, lives, that's uncalled for, and that's cowardly. But to those who are upset, I get why they're upset, because look at how you're disseminating the message, man. It's off base, and you look like a 2-bit hustler. So yeah, I understand why people were upset or offended, because people are smarter. They know when they're getting hustled. The one thing I can say about Reverend Ike, when you watch them old Reverend Ike videos, at least Reverend Ike said, no, Jesus walked on water and I walk on money. I don't want nothing that jingles. I want things that fold. He was about his paper, and I can respect it. Now, I don't necessarily may support it, but I can respect it.
Reverend Ike was all about circulating the money. Circulate the money. That's what Reverend Ike says. So listen, I agree with you that tone matters, context matters. I feel as though gospel artists walk that tightrope when it comes to money and ministry, right? To your point, I very much believe in give what's on your heart. If you can only give $1 and you are giving it from your heart, that dollar is going towards something good. If 50 people give $1, that's $50, whatever, right? Obviously, we know that they have building funds and whatever, but how do you manage something? How would you manage? How do you approach ministry and the financial aspects of it? What are your thoughts? Because no matter the ministry, right? Whether that is, Christian, Catholic, of Jewish faith, whatever, finances come into play for something with them all. So what are your thoughts about that and how that rolls out?
I don't give to buildings or people. I give to organizations or movements, meaning, if I want to give to the United Way, or if I want to give to, United Negro College Fund, or if I want to give to, the Midnight Mission downtown LA or something, you know what I'm saying? Well, I see where the good is going. I see where the money is going for the most part. Now, again, I'm not in the integral part of knowing the details, but I'm saying if I'm seeing a harvest come when I'm sowing my money into an organization that's supposed to help people, because a lot of these mega churches don't help the people. They take from the communities. They don't invest in the people, and they take the money and the resources from the people, but they don't reinvest, right? And we've seen it with Joel Osteen when he locked the people out during the most crucial time, when a storm was coming. We've seen other mega churches do, some shady work. And people are fed up with that. They see right through it like cellophane and Scotch tape. So you have to be on the up and up. You have to be honest, but you have to be able to invest in people. And my thing is with Marvin Sapp, where is this money going specifically? Do you have a track record? And the thing about it is, how do you not know what was raised? That sounds shady in itself. You were the one spearheading the movement. How do you not know where things are raised and where the money is actually going? Where are the receipts? And this is the problem that people have, because, we're living in some very, serious, for some difficult times. If people are going to give $10, they want to know, hey, where's my $10 going?
So let me ask you this, because sorry to interrupt, but to your point about that, do when you give money like that, I was always told, and I don't know if this is the right approach, but when you give money and you're sowing seeds or things of that nature, right? And we see corruption come up in all different aspects of life, but when you are sowing into something like that, are you to worry about, much like when you give a homeless person $20, do you give with the benefit and what your intent is with the heart, and what happens with it once it's released from you is out of your control, and you are sowing, for you? Or are there conditions and, ramifications around you donating money?
Well, God says use wisdom. And also, he says, sow into good ground that's fertile.
Facts.
And when good ground is fertile, right? And when when the ground is not going to produce a harvest, right? Because the ground hasn't been turned, the ground is dead, right? So you can't sow into death and expect life, right? So when I look at, that's why I mentioned earlier, if I'm watching an organization, right, and I'm seeing, okay, they're helping out, even a women's shelter, and they're helping out single, mothers and families and what have you. And I'm seeing the results. We're seeing the testimonies. We're seeing, for the most part, what is being, helped with X amount of dollars, whether it's, $5, $10 a month, or whatever, how they have it broken down. And if you feel in your heart, if you feel like, hey, that's something I really want to get behind, I really feel like I want to help, people in that position, then you do it. Right? You can't obviously control what people do with your money when you give it, but you can be as wise and do your due diligence as much as you can before you release that money into that particular area, right? And so I think a lot of people get emotional, and they believe this biblical psychobabble, and they get emotional. And they know that we as a people are emotional people. That's why they play music in any church before they start giving money, because they tow on your heartstrings. It's all psychologically, strategically done to be able to tow on your heartstrings so you can, give.
Andy, you look like you had something to add. I'm sorry, Nick, were you finished making your point?
No, I'm good.
Andy.
Man, shout out Nick, man. You knocked the ball out the park, straight up. I just wanted to an experience, growing up, obviously. I've been to a handful of churches in my time, right? But out of those handful of churches that I've been to, there was only one church they would literally have, and this was a voluntary thing if you wanted to come to, they had like quarterly financial meetings to kind of tell you where the money has went. And when tax season came around, you got you a little W-2 or whatnot. I just thought that was impressive of a church. You know what I'm saying? To get that feedback or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important.
It is because, we see a lot of corruption in all areas. People want to believe that when they are dealing with their faith, that they are not being taken advantage of. Some of the comments in the chat, Morris Phillips says, I remember Reverend Ike pay me. DJ Black 909 says, Reverend Ike was a hustler, but he was an honest hustler. Reverend Ike was known for the slogan, you can't lose with the stuff I use. Reggie White says, if the money was for the conference's budget, why wasn't the amount taken care of by conference registration fees? Morris Phillips says, good point. I was a deacon and we count the money. Believe me, the preacher knows what was raised. Churches are also a place for healing. So, it's a lot happening there. It is old, but if his parishioners aren't questioning it, I don't know.
Real quick, knowing that Reverend Ike...
Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
Real quick, knowing that Reverend Ike was the hustler, would you have felt more willing to give him money as opposed to somebody that you feel like, Marvin Sapp?
I just to, Nick's point to a lot of things, I like honesty. Don't try and play, on your emotions. You're not, you're going to heck if you don't donate to the building fund and you're not tithing. And I just feel like there are ways that you can sow into these things that don't necessarily involve at all times religious institutions. I'm going to put a pin in you, Nick, because we're about to go forward. And when we return, we're going to get more from Nick Hamilton and, of course, more on this topic and more trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm stronger. I'm wiser. I'm better. Anybody better? I can stand here and tell you I've made it. Anybody out there? You made it. I'm stronger. I'm wiser.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Black Lives Matter Plaza in Washington, D.C. is being removed this week. Crews are painting over the street mural and taking down signs. Black Mayor Muriel Bowser says the change is partly due to White House pressure and plans for America's 250th birthday next year. A judge has ruled that former Decatur officer Mac Marquette must stand trial for the 2023 killing of a black man, Stephen Perkins. The Alabama murder trial is set for June 9th. Black Atlanta Congresswoman Nikema Williams is stepping down as chair of Georgia's Democratic Party after it became a full-time paid role. While in the position, she served as an unpaid volunteer. The vice chair will lead for now. An ousted Black Washington, D.C. Councilmember Trayon White is running to reclaim his Ward 8 seat after being removed in February over conduct violations and a bribery indictment. He shared his re-election filing online. Over 24 candidates have filed so far. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Slowing into Elysian Park right now, all roads leading into Dodger Stadium pretty jam-packed. This includes the 2 southbound, and this is getting out of the Eagle Rock area. You're on the brakes from just about Colorado all the way to the 5. If you're staying on the 2 southbound, the Glendale Freeway, it crawls and pours onto Glendale Boulevard. Surrounding surface streets at Dodger Stadium just jam-packed right now as well. Northbound side of the 110, delays out of South LA from Florence as you continue all the way back to the 5, and southbound slowing off at the 5 as well, heading back to Manchester Avenue. Let's also check out Irvine 5 northbound, crowding up from Sand Canyon to Harbor in Anaheim.
Change the way you see the world at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Depart from their new Safari Excursions Depot and embark on a once-in-a-lifetime experience you'll never forget. Plus, every adventure helps support wildlife worldwide. Plan your visit to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. The odds makers in Vegas are not showing much confidence in the UCLA women's basketball team. UCLA is already an 8.5-point underdog to UConn in their Final Four matchup Friday in Tampa. UCLA and UConn will play in the second semifinal at 6 p.m. South Carolina, the defending national champions, play Texas in the first semifinal at 4 p.m. Both games will be televised live on ESPN. It was a good night on Monday for both of LA's NBA teams. The Clippers close out their 4-game road trip with a 96-87 win at Orlando, 18 points and 20 rebounds for center Ivica Zubac. The Clippers, 8-2 in their last 10 games, are just a half game behind Golden State for 6th place in the Western Conference. The top 6 teams automatically qualify for the playoffs. The Lakers held off Houston 104-98. Dorian Finney-Smith and Gabe Vincent each had 20 points off the bench. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
At Exquisite Family Mortuary, we know how overwhelming it can be planning a meaningful farewell for your loved one. Secure your peace of mind by calling Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. From traditional funeral services to memorials to direct cremation pre-needs and more. Call Charlotte White at Exquisite Family Mortuary for Southern hospitality in Southern California. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. Exquisite Family Mortuary is located nearby in Inglewood, California. Exquisite Family Mortuary, where your loved one becomes our loved one.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach? Transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal? Prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Now what you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat. And me, the groove, and my friends are gonna try to move your feet. You see, I am one of the mic, and I'd like to say hello. To the black, to the white, the red, and the brown, the purple, and yellow. But first, I gotta bang, bang, the boogie to the boogie. Say up, jump the boogie to the bang, bang, boogie. Let's rock. You don't stop, rock the rhythm that'll make your body rock. Well, so far you've heard my voice, but I brought two friends along. And next on the mic is my man Hank. Come on, Hank, sing that song.
Check it out, I'm the CASN, the OVA, and the rest is FLY.
Remember when I told y'all about back in the day in hip-hop lyrics and this song and how he just rapped out somebody else's name? He spelled Casanova. That's the rapper that wrote the lyrics that he's rapping. But his Big Bang ain't. He took somebody's notebook. Anyway, welcome back in. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. We're getting into this entertainment news. A little bit of classic news for you. You know, I got hip hop history bars. What you saying? Welcome back in, Nick Hamilton from Nightcast Media. Nick, what are your final thoughts on Marvin Sapp, this whole religious, as you say, grift for the finances and so forth?
I think he needs to step away from the mic and stay in the studio and get him a PR campaign, which he's obviously currently doing, trying to shore up and keep his name in good standing. So, he's politicking it the way he's gonna politic it. But again, I don't agree with it. And hopefully, it's unfortunate that people, some people got swindled because they got emotionally pumped into giving money they probably didn't even want to give or probably couldn't give. So I've seen that happen in situations too, So hopefully people will learn a lesson from this.
Well, there it is right there. So next up, a story that is, a little part Oprah, a little part country ballad, appropriate. Country singer Tanner Adell, Buckle Bunny. That was my song too. She dropped with Beyonce on Cowboy Carter. She has her own thing going on. And she recently opened up on the Dumb Blonde podcast about reconnecting with her birth family, which started through an ancestry DNA test. What she discovered was that she was the product of an affair. Her mother was married with other children at the time. And we'll let her explain the rest of the story and get into it.
I think my birth mother must have already been pregnant with me when she had the affair and thought that he had gotten her pregnant, but actually it was her legitimate child and her full blood child to her children and her husband, and put me up for adoption and didn't know.
Oh my gosh.
And the first thing he was like, I've got to tell our dad that you're his child, because he knew about me. She had put me up for adoption while her husband, my birth dad, was deployed. And so he didn't know that I even existed until he saw some papers about me having been adopted. And that was how he found out that she had an affair and gotten pregnant. So he was like, I got to tell Dad. And I was like, do you think she knew? Like, does she know you've been looking for me? Like, what does she feel about it? Like, can we go ask her? Like, we need to tell
where's
her.
Mom? Yeah, where's Mom in this scenario?
And he informed me that she had passed away about 4 years before that. So I didn't get to meet her. And I think that was probably one of the darkest days of my life so far that I've experienced.
So her father was black. He was deployed overseas. I am assuming whomever she had the affair with was white. Her mother is also white. And, she thought she was pregnant by somebody else, or the timetable was off because her husband was deployed. And her brother tracked her down because of her stuff in Ancestry DNA. A match came up, an exact match, because, as mentioned, her parents were married and together, but the mom had an affair and thought that Tanner was a product of this. So Tanner said she used to idolize Dolly Parton as a kid, not just for the music, but because she saw her biological mom's face in Dolly's image. And that is why she even dyed her hair blonde, to feel closer to the woman who she's never met. So, it's raw, relatable, and, kind of shows how identity can be really tricky. Nick, do you have any thoughts on that story?
I mean, it's a sad story to hear her talk about that and the trauma that she had to endure, because that's got to be traumatic to figure out, like, where's your origins come from, right? So let me get this straight, and you correct me if I'm wrong. So this was her birth mother that gave her up for adoption, who had an affair?
Correct.
Is that what this?
Correct.
So, okay, so let me get this straight. So moms was out here getting her swerve on, getting claps. And she realized, oh, Buddy, who I thought was the daddy, really wasn't the daddy.
The mother never knew that. The only reason that the mother thought that she was giving away a child that was the product of an affair. She never found out that it was actually her husband's child. She passed away 4 years before Tanner's brother because her biological parents had other children.
So
the brother, found her on Ancestry DNA.
So she had an affair with a black dude.
No, her husband's black. Married. I think that the affair was maybe with someone not black.
Okay, so she had an affair with a non-black person. Okay, got you. I mean, it's tragic, man, because when you hear this young lady speak about her life and trying to find out who she is and find her identity, unfortunately, we hear so many stories about people finding their birth parents or looking for their birth parents because they want a sense of not only identity, maybe, or just a sense of connection, but maybe a sense of closure. And it sounds like that young lady just wanted to get closure and wanted to get some questions answered that unfortunately she'll never get answered because the person had ultimately passed away, which is really sad to hear. So I hope that young lady's in therapy, just to keep herself together, and maybe she can connect to some other family members.
She has. She's talked to her biological father. She's talked to her brother, and I believe she has a relationship with them now. Her father didn't even know she existed until her brother told him. So, these things happen. You got to be careful out there in this world. And Tanner's not that old. So there's a lot of things that could happen in the middle of all of this, but... Listen, protection in those situations, right? That will help you greatly. Plan B, wrapping it up. These are all things that are available. Well, at least for now, we don't know what's going to happen considering our current government. But that's a topic for another day. Listen, when we come forward, we are going to get into this Zeus Network stuff. More mess, more craziness. And Nick, I'm also going to ask you your thoughts on the Zeus Network because, we've been having a little conversation about it's needed. I mean, people like it, obviously, but is it the best thing in the world? We'll get into that on the other side. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
At Providence, health equity is the foundation of our community health initiatives, ensuring care reaches those who need it most. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in America. African Americans face a higher risk of life-threatening issues like hypertension, the number one cause of stroke. 55% of Black adults have high blood pressure. The good news is 80% of heart disease is preventable with healthy lifestyle changes and patient-centered care provided by the Providence Heart and Vascular Institute. From routine screenings to advanced procedures, Providence provides comprehensive care for the heart conditions that overly impact our community by ensuring patients receive treatments tailored to their needs. Let's stop the trend of being 30% more likely to die from heart-related problems. Take charge of your heart health with world-class cardiologists who deliver the compassionate care you deserve. Visit providence.org/SoCalHeart. That's providence.org/SoCalHeart to request an appointment.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. We have Nick Hamilton from Nightcast Media on the line with us. And this final story, this might just be one of the messiest media stories of the week. So, Zeus Network, we talked about it a little bit, home of Batty Batty Shadow Clock, Joceline's Cabaret, you know, a lot of other things, and recently released a new film in theaters, Magazine Dreams, from Jonathan Majors. And, you know, it is the home of the influencer, so to speak, right? A lot of their shows are filled with social media popular people that are doing a lot of things like drinking, falling in love, and fighting. Well, they're facing some serious accusations from three of their earliest stars, King Bach, Amanda Cerny, and DeStorm Power. They claim that they helped build the network from the ground up, that they were completely locked out of company equity, that they each put in excess of $100,000 to help support the network at various times when it was conceptualized and they were funding it for money and things of that nature. And they also claimed that they are being taxed on millions that they have never received. DeStorm dropped receipts the other night. He came on his Instagram Live with a 9-minute video which showed contracts claiming that Lemuel Plummer, is that how you say his name? Lemuel? I know they call him Lemon Pepper Lemmy. I think it's Lemuel, that he seized full control of Zeus while leaving the co-founders with zero ownership, zero back end, claimed it ran out of money, ran up. They got another investor in and still received no equity from that. And this comes on the back end of previous lawsuits to Zeus from Omarion, Nick Cannon, and Krishan Rock. And there's also been some allegations of sexual misconduct in the mix and so forth with Zeus, you know, inappropriate relationships with talent and so to speak. So it's looking like not like a network, so to speak, but more like a bad 90s record label where they gave you, you know, some jewelry, a car, and said, be good, send you on your way. You see a lot of videos from Zeus where they're giving out purses and Gucci bags and watches, but what's really good with everything that's going on? You know, no royalties, just spent.
Man.
Nick?
That sounds like the Puff Daddy story.
So what are your are you a fan of Zeus Network? Have you followed their rise? Because initially when he set out, Lemuel is the son of his parents allegedly owned a couple of what do they call it? TV stations in Detroit where he's from. He got on with Preachers of Detroit, came out here, you know, did his thing, launched the Zeus Network. There's lots of networks that are being developed, sort of streaming networks of that ilk, but he, you know, got very much caught up in the love and hip hop sort of, you know, I don't want to call them rejects, but people that have moved on from those shows, and he gave them a home. So what are your thoughts?
I don't support Zeus Network. I think it's a bootleg, ghetto, negative imagery that we really don't need. I mean, you know, the most positive thing I think they've done was the Magazine Dreams movie with Jonathan Majors. That was the first positive thing I've heard they've done. I'm tired of seeing people fight and throw drinks on each other and cuss each other out and all this other stuff that makes us look like we're animalistic around the world. So, you know, as far as, you know, getting to your story, as far as, you know, people investing and you got people saying, hey, I invested this much, but I never got any residuals or got any, you know, percentage of ownership. It sounds like Buddy's a shady businessman, but at the same time, it's not what they promise you, is what you negotiate. And if you have all these receipts, but you don't have any contractual, writings that say, hey, if I invest $100,000, I'm going to get X amount of percentage when it comes to, this network, right? Or I'm going to get perpetuity if this network goes here or there with my investment. If you don't have all of that, then you just bumping your gums and you just talking. It's messed up. It's shaky. It doesn't make any less shaky.
Well,
but it's business.
I mean, I should clarify that they do say that they have receipts. I mean, if they're receiving Series K1,
if they have contractual, they have contracts that specifically say I'm going to get a certain percentage of ownership based upon my investment.
But they're receiving series like K1 series investment documents like that they're being taxed on. They've been in court over this for the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. They said they've spent $1 million on legal fees, continuing to climb. So, we'll see what happens. But I feel like this is a space that we see, maybe not with networks, but time and time again, where, influencers, creators, even reality stars get used, chewed up, and discarded once things keep rolling along. And we're seeing changes as far as that industry, and so to speak. But what you mentioned, like you said, about paperwork, your deals and things of that nature, but a lot of these people are coming from places where business is not necessarily their first language. And it's easy for us to say, go, it is, but it's easy to say, go get a lawyer if you don't have money to do it. I mean, here's the thing. Again, there's alleging that he is moving improperly and that they have the paperwork to back it up, which is why they're in court. But you say that it's their fault. So you've never been in a position where people have tried to take advantage of you?
Listen, I've been jerked. But the thing about it is, when I got jerked, I said, okay, when I got jerked, I realized I got to do my own research. No, I may not be able to hire a $25,000, attorney at the time, but I do know how to read and I do know how to research. And I do know how to talk to people that are in that particular field because of my networking ability. So to be able to get advice from people that are in that particular field, or be able to talk to people that are in that particular genre or what have you, to be like, hey, this is the situation. What should I do? What should I not do? I'm sure these people have, people in a network situation. And when I mean network, as far as people that they gravitated towards to give them some type of, advice or wisdom. And if you kept doing it and you keep doing it, then it's your fault. Like, there's no way in hell. First of all, you can afford $100,000. You can afford an attorney. Okay. I don't want to hear that. That's why I don't want to hear that. It's not somebody coming off the street saying, hey, Jill, if you give me $2,000, you're going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. Well, yeah, Jill may be in a position to give $2,000, but, you may not be able to, again, to afford a high price attorney. So, again, for these people, I'm sorry they got jerked and it was wrong. It was wrong. Maybe this person is not a man of their word, but if you keep doing it and you got $100,000 to give and you got jerked, dude, you didn't get no attorney. You didn't think about business, and that's the problem. We got to think business.
So I hear you, but do you say that to all of the rappers who got caught up in there? Because the very real thing that happens all the time with all of these things, you are willing to take a chance for an opportunity, because we know those and I'm not saying that's what happened with this, but I'm saying in general, when we come across these things, we know one opportunity, one look from the right person, you're gone, especially in this era. So, and here's the thing we talk about, but do you know when you're going to get an attorney, what questions to ask to make sure that your attorney has your best interest at heart? Because there's so many times we've heard stories of my attorney didn't look out for me, or the label, or, in this place, maybe the network, I'm not saying this is what happened, offered up an attorney so that all parties were satisfied. And, it's just tricky. It's tricky to move. That's why college helps. Maybe. I'm not sure. Nick Hamilton from Diecast Media, thank you as always for tapping in with us. Let everybody know where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Nick Hamilton LA, at YouTube, on YouTube at Nightcast Media TV.
And what have you been up to lately? What interviews do they have to look forward to check out from you, or topics? I see you be hitting your live stream and walking while you're walking through your various travels and what have you, talking to the people.
Oh, yeah, we got the best in sports and entertainment. So you want to click on to see what's happening with your favorite TV stars or film stars or athletes, come on, check us out. Subscribe. Don't be scared.
Okay, real quick.
Take no money from you.
Real quick, Stephen A. or Bron, whose side are you on?
Neither. They're both egomaniacs.
All right there, Nick Hamilton, Nightcast Media. Thank you as always. Check it in. Listen, we got into all the things tonight as we always do, giving it to you raw, real, and uncut with receipts. It's April Fool's Day. There's a little foolishness in the mix, but the stories were true. No jokes. So, Marvin's explanation, are you feeling it? Tanner's story about her family. I love Tanner. Like I said, Buckle Bunny is my jam. So I'm wishing her much, much success. And the Zeus Network, moving like Suge Knight with Wi-Fi. We will see what finally comes to pass with all of that. Thank you for locking in, with me, your pop culture decoder, your favorite truth teller, giving you your front row seat to the culture. Make sure that you are here each and every night, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Coming up next is Zoe Williams, the voice of reason. I'll tap in with you guys tomorrow.
These broken wings and learn to fly all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to arise. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to be free. Black